Welcome to Inside the Chamber. I'm Nikki Anderson, the President and CEO of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. Today our show will focus on business growth in an uncertain economy. As any entrepreneur will tell you, owning a business is a lot of work and it never ends. Today's guests will share their stories on why they chose to start a business here and what challenges have simply inspired them to step up and make a great product or provide an exceptional service for their customer.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
So thanks for joining me today. We're going to be talking about taking risks with business because you guys have all done it. We live in a state right now where there's a lot of uncertainty that goes around, but we've got a strong community, and you guys are part of that community, which as a Chamber of Commerce we are grateful for. So I think the first question that I wanted to ask all of you is, why did you choose Naperville for your business? So Tim, I'll start with you.
Well, I picked Naperville because I live in Naperville. So that made a lot of
convenient.
sense. Yeah, selfishly, I wanted a short commute. It is a technology hub. The I-88 corridor is loaded with technology companies. And, you know, I just felt that it was a great place to put our flag in the ground. And so that's why I picked Naperville.
Great. Jim?
Well, we've been in business for quite a while. And so we just came to Naperville, a year ago. And we did definitely deliberately pick it. It's such a great community. And by community, I mean it's a real community. It's not a place where people live. It's a place where people are involved. And that's so interesting to us. And it creates so much excitement for local businesses and independent businesses that it just seemed like a great fit, great place to be.
Yeah, because I know there could have been many places you guys could have chosen just because you're known for great product. So I like to hear that, and that makes perfect sense. What about you, Ryan?
So for me, it's the commute thing for sure. It's close, it's easy to get to, but the amount of business engagement between small businesses that are here, the amount that I found that business owners are willing to help one another in the chamber, outside of the chamber, really makes it a joy to do business here, and I think that's got a lot to do with why we're here.
Great. So we all know as entrepreneurs there's risk-taking involved. That's just part of the equation. Do you feel like there was any risk when you came to this community? Were you set like, we're going to nail this? Or you knew that there were going to be risks? Yours is a little bit more involved. But it was making that decision knowing that there might be some challenges as well as opportunities. So what do you think, Ryan?
I mean, from a risk standpoint, there's always risk. There's always I think if any business owner says they don't have some nights where they have trouble sleeping with stuff going on in their business, they're lying. But the risk is always there. I think the important thing is focusing on what it is that you do, making sure that you've got a plan, marketing, sales, your operations are in order, and that you're trying to do things consistently to grow and evolve day to day. But also, I find it's also nice to, I don't want to say tune out the rest of the market, but, not be so susceptible to the whims of the market and be focused on what it is you're trying to do for your clients.
What about you, Jim?
We came into town pretty confident. I think, we've got a great location. We're very thankful that we were able to, make that particular geography work. But, it's the community was ready for something like we brought, I think. And so we've always had a great deal of confidence, not to sound arrogant, but we're getting better at what we're doing, and it seemed like this was sort of the perfect spot.
Yeah, awesome. What about you?
Yeah, well, when it comes to risk, I started the company with my oldest being 6 months old. So there was a lot of emotional, like, I cannot fail. It's like, that's not an option. So I was very driven by that, and she'll be 7 next month. So we've gotten through that. With Naperville, it was a little overwhelming at first. I got to admit, I was a little nervous about it. I was the new guy, and I kind of came in, and even as a one-man shop, I was, really everywhere and trying to do everything. And then, I started to get more involved in the chamber, and it's really changed a lot of things, like just the name recognition and the community, the way everybody's tied together. It's a big step for any business that wants to grow it. It's been a very welcoming organization, and the resources are there, and people will help you. So I think that has taken some of that edge off and made it a little bit easier. And so when it comes to risk, again, I just think it's like Ryan mentioned before. He said, like, people are willing to help each other. People are willing to get together. You don't have that coldness like you would expect. Naperville does have that small town feel, even though it really isn't statistically. But
it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant by community. It's not only the residents, but it's the business community. And for such a large city, I mean, Naperville's big.
It is big.
It just continually astounds me how connected and small town it feels.
Yeah. I think that's something that is very unique, because we have people visit here all the time, and they go, "This is a really unique community," and it is. Can't necessarily put my thumb on it, but you articulated it really well. It's a community that's not only residents are involved, but businesses are involved, and when you get that recipe, I think that makes it a successful endeavor. So let's talk about starting a business 10 years ago, 15, however long ago, versus starting a business now. And when you and your brother started your business years ago versus venturing into new ventures now, what's the biggest change?
Well, we're in a very specific industry.
Right.
So, there's just been a world of change in my business. Because when we started, people didn't know what a microbrewery was.
Right.
Literally. We're going to be 21 years old in October. Wow. So, in 1996.
Old enough to drink.
Yeah, right. God, that's scary. Yeah. People that were born when we opened can drink. So our business has gotten much more crowded, and the regulations around it have gotten quite a bit more involved and technical.
Yeah.
I think if you go outside of that, there's been a lot of turmoil in the economy for the last really 10 years.
Right.
And that's really shaken things up. We started with an SBA loan. And before we had enough history to get into, private bank loans, it was hard. And I can't imagine that's gotten easier.
Yeah. I agree. Well, it's interesting because how his world has changed. I think about the world of technology for you guys, and it's probably every day, right?
Something every day. New. And you go back 10 years in technology, I can't even believe the stuff.
She's in shock, right?
Well, the stuff we used to do 10 years ago was so much more work than it is today for us. In a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases. But then, everything evolves at a rate, from security to, to just the speed of watching out for what that next piece of technology is for us. But it's also the flow of information. The flow of information has increased so much in those 10 years that we actually, there's a double-edged sword to it. There's resources now that we have that we never had 10 years ago that we can utilize and use, but there's also a lot of ways that, there's a lot of things out there that can get you off track too. So you gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, and I would say, like in our industry, in managed services, what we do, 10 years, I don't know if a ton has changed in 10 years from that perspective, but like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you were really riding a wave. If you started my company 20 years ago, I'd be on a beach somewhere already. Because people didn't have networks. They didn't really have a company that fully managed their IT on a day-to-day basis like we do. It was more break fix. It was more when there was a problem, you called somebody, they came out and they took care of it and they left. And they charged you by the hour, they charged you by the, you bought block of time or whatever. And now, managed services has become like the thing, right? It's become the most popular way of servicing IT. I would say what you have now that you really didn't have 10 years ago is all the cloud stuff. So now, we're competing with Microsoft. We're competing with Amazon on a much smaller scale because we're offering a private cloud to businesses. We are taking our servers and we are putting their network in it, and we are allowing them to remote somewhere private, and they can run their business that way, and we manage it for them. So now you're not dealing so much with a public cloud where you're sharing multi-tenant with a whole bunch of other people. Right. We've got a nice isolated environment for you that you can remote into. So that's really the biggest change. So I think if you want to get into our industry now, I think you really need to focus on the cloud technologies and the Internet of Things, right? The IoT.
Yeah. So what I'd like to talk about is small businesses and the impact that they have. We have Small Business Week every year that we celebrate our small business owners. Small business, though, it's kind of interesting. The definition has changed. When I was a small business back in the latter 80s, early 90s, it was 20 employees or less, or $50,000 or less, right? I have small businesses now with 6 employees bringing in $10, $15 million. So that's all changed. But when we think of small business, and I look at all three of you, you guys are committed to the community. Not only are you committed to growing a successful business, but committed to the community. What are your thoughts about independent or small businesses that come to communities and their impact?
Well, what I would say to that is, it is a community, right? So, we build up enough trust with our clients and we become part of their family. They see us as an extension of their business because we're an outsourced IT department. And we get invited to their Christmas parties, and we get invited to personal things that they have. And so that's huge. And then we reciprocate in ways that we can and have parties and bring people into our office and stuff. And so, you're not going to get that with a Microsoft. You're not going to get that with, some of these other major companies that you might be doing business with. So, I think, we don't treat people like they're just a number. When you're a customer working for a big company, you're just a number. They don't know you. Right. We see each other in our neighborhoods, like in the grocery stores, right. And we stop and say hello. So, there's that. But I would just say that anytime you have an opportunity to deal with a smaller entrepreneurial type business, family business, whatever, I think you're going to get the best service possible. You're going to be treated with respect. And again, you become part of that family.
Right. Well, I know every time I walk in to get breakfast, there's this one lovely woman. Hi, sweetie, how are you today? And and that means something. There are other places I go, they don't care. They'll give me what I need. But there's that sense of I really care about. I'm committed to this, not only this business, but the community and everybody that comes in here. So
that would be Michelle. And yeah, it is. It's about creating that personal relationship. Big companies just can't do it. Yeah. And that's something that makes it enticing and enjoyable to work with small businesses. And even though, you may pay a little extra for that, but in most cases it's going to pay off. Because if I'm working with Microsoft and I have a problem, you think I can get a hold of anybody? Right. When if I'm working with Tim, I could probably call his cell phone number and he would answer.
Give me right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. We'll be right back.
Naperville Bank and Trust has the expertise, knowledge, and experience to help you reach your business goals.
We would prefer to work with somebody like Naperville Bank and Trust. They're engaged in the community, they're able to help meet our financial needs, they understand us as a business.
They provide all the tools that you would ask that we as a growing business need of a bank. Most importantly, to me, it's a great personal relationship we have with Tom and John and our bankers.
It was the best thing we could have done in banking. And banking can be very cold. What the bank brings to us is that warm feeling when you come into the bank and people say, "Hi, Greg."
It's about being part of the community again, about being a name again, about having credit for who your business is instead of just being a number.
Naperville Bank and Trust. Bring it home.
talk a little bit about technology. I think earlier, Tim, you might have alluded to the 88 corridor and technology and the growth of technology in our community. We talk about the hub. Do you think that that's possible for Naperville to be this technology hub? I've heard someone say, well, we're going to be this another Sonoma. Well, why copy what someone else is doing? Can't we be Naperville and technology and create our own hub, and what might that look like?
Yeah, I think it's very possible. I think for a few reasons too. Number one, we see it more and more every day as we're trying to hire software developers and mobile app developers, that there's people out here that do that grueling commute into the city to get to work every day, and they come back, and it's a quality of life thing to be able to stop. And if there is I don't want to say it's not an analog to Chicago. It is a separate thing unto itself to try to do something here. And I think we have all the resources. I mean, the amount of STEM-based companies and STEM-based jobs, the technical jobs that are here, or at least workers that are here, is pretty high. And I think there's an opportunity there to collaborate in workspaces, to have ways to deliver talks and other things, not only for the tech community, but also for, I think, the business community, in a way that, like Tim's business provides that outsourced piece. You can take that and deliver some of that content to the business community to help the smaller businesses, especially, that may not have those resources. So.
Right. I know. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I read something in the Naperville Sun a couple years ago. It said it was that Naperville was becoming the Silicon Prairie, right, of the world, and that's true. I mean, I think already now we've got some pretty nice businesses right here in Naperville that specialize in some sort of technology, whether it's web development or software development, app development, or the managed IT stuff like we do. There's a lot of different businesses out there that work on technology and bring that expertise to the community, and that's why I think it would be a great place to have that hub.
Well, and as you guys know, we just formed a technology advisory group, TAG, at the Chamber, so we know it's growing, so that's interesting. I'm going to make a segue here to food, wine, and beer.
Pretty
One
different.
of my favorite topics.
Work on play.
Yes, from one to the other. So when we look at Naperville, there's no shortage of restaurants, right? But as we talked about earlier with small businesses, it really is about the experience. So when you look at Naperville, really as a whole, do you think more and more people are coming here because of the experience, not only of maybe the community and the feel, but also of the restaurants that are tending to up their game a little bit?
Absolutely. I think dining out is just commonplace now. I don't know, you guys are young, but when I grew up, we ate at home 350 days out of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, to go out was something special. And now people don't cook. And so they're looking for different experiences. And Naperville has so much to offer. It's such a nice downtown to come into, super walkable. There's a lot of unique things to do besides eat, but that's, I think, often a catalyst to get people into downtown. So I think definitely it's kind of, we're going to be a tech hub and a restaurant hub.
Yeah, well, that goes together. Work hard, play hard, right? Yeah, feed each other, no pun intended. I like that. So what if someone is trying to figure out where they want to move their business, grow their business, start a business? What might you say to them about Naperville that might kind of sweeten the deal? Not sweeten the deal, but to kind of push them to make a decision about coming here?
I think one of the first things is it's for the size of the city of Naperville, it's not as overwhelming as it may seem from the outside, number one. Number two, that getting engaged early and frequently is a really important piece to getting those connections made and to getting the business going within the community. But I think if you can just bring yourself to come on in and enter, the reception is unbelievably warm.
Well, and you bring up such a good point, because I've been here most of my life and I've seen businesses come and go. And sometimes people look at Naperville and go, oh, people have money to spend, I'm just going to go there. And they're not interested in the true chemistry of the community. And I think that really hurts people. So if you come with the mindset, and back me up here, but if you come with the mindset of I'm going to get engaged, I really want to learn about the community and be part of the community, I think that's what sets the table for success.
I agree. I think you will. I think this is true for a lot of things. If you put your effort and your passion into something, it comes back to you tenfold when you do that. But I think that's the commitment that I know that I made coming into the community here was, hey, what can I do? Who needs help? What can we do to get this thing going? And it's just been an unbelievable way to meet and grow my business out of that.
I would just comment on a couple things Ryan brought up. As far as a big community be welcoming, honestly, I was floored. When my business came here, everybody from City Hall, the Chamber, other business people that I know in the community just wrapped their arms around us. And I really figured, not having a business here, that the city, there'd just be red tape left and right, and there was going to be this we're Naperville, you need to prove your muster to come here. But it was such the opposite of that. It was just great. And then I would say, back to the comment you made, Nikki, about people, some businesses will come in and say, it's Naperville. Look at the demographic. The average household makes X dollars a year. All I need to do is put a sign up and I'm going to, be successful. And I obviously, or maybe not obviously, but I could not disagree with that more. That's an advantage of being here, but I think, along with that, there's a level of sophistication. People want attention to detail. They want expertise. They want somebody that's involved in the community. And to just hang your shingle up probably isn't going to work. Not that it would necessarily work anywhere,
right.
but I think I really do think that.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. I think joining the chamber is a huge first step. You have to do it. I don't think really that's an option. I haven't seen any other community, any other place that has the structure and the resources that the Naperville area chamber has. It's huge, and your staff is awesome about that. And they will make you feel welcome. And if you're going to have some kind of business that's brick and mortar, and Naperville supports those types of businesses. You don't have to be scared of that. Downtown is awesome. I mean, there's really no vacancies that I've seen anywhere. And if there is, it's for a short period of time. Somebody's in there swoops right in, like you did, right? You came right in there, and boom, like that whole spot is now getting all kinds of traffic again. So. My advice would be to get involved in the community, join the chamber, get your name out there, show up places, be there, get your name out there, and people will support you. It's amazing. They really will.
Yeah.
You get what you give.
That's
right?
it.
And it's that simple. But again, I have seen so many businesses come and go and walk away, close up house and this and that. And it's like, but you have
gotta work for it.
Yeah. You absolutely
in our industry, we call it garbage in, garbage out, right? Whatever you put in, you'll get out, and maybe more, and you should get more.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. So what I'd love to hear from each of you is maybe a challenge that you encountered at any part of your business journey, and how you overcame it. And you're probably going, I can think of many, but just to share one, because I think oftentimes people can go, oh, you're just a natural entrepreneur. Things just worked out for you. You were lucky. And to your point, if you don't go to bed at night and worry sometimes or every night about, you're lying. Yeah. So I'd love to hear about a challenge or something that you really hit you hard, but you overcame it, and the end result from that.
I would say for me, scaling my company. I was a one-man shop. It was very personal for me. I always had it in my head that nobody can service the customer as well as I can, and that may always be true. Yeah. I don't know, that might be true, but I think what I've tried to do is invest and try to bring in the right people, and that's hard to do. That's extremely hard to do. You're going to make mistakes, and you're going to maybe hire the wrong people, but if you're lucky enough to be able to hire the right people, it was me trying to take things off my plate and put stuff on to others and trust them. Just trust my people, train them well, trust them to service the accounts as well as I can. Then that really opened me up to be able to go out and be the face of the company and do the things that a CEO should do. I didn't have that for the first 4.5 years of the company. I was it. I did it all.
I didn't have that for like the first 14 and a half years of my business.
Well, I got some breaks, Jim, but like, I was able to land a couple of nice accounts and swallow a couple whales, which really helped. I got the money in to do it. But that was really the biggest challenge for me, was letting go.
That's the hardest thing to do.
And not to micromanage and not to be a pain.
100%.
It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a great book called The E-Myth that focuses just exactly on that. People think, geez, if I open my own business, I don't have to give my boss a cut of the money that I'm making, earning for him. I can golf every Tuesday. I can go to Maui, and then you end up tied to your desk.
Right.
Yeah. But I think the biggest challenge for us really was defining our mission statement. It's really, really, really easy for businesses to say, I believe in quality. I make a quality beer. Well, who doesn't say that?
Right.
It's just a meaningless phrase. And so finding that, defining it really was a very difficult thing for us. And then creating the culture to mirror that. And, going back to the people problem, that's humongous too. But I think if you create the right mission and you know what you are, then you know how to hire the right people to develop the culture to reflect that image.
Yeah. They feed off of each other.
So that took a long time.
You have to share your values.
Yep.
Yeah, with that and walk the talk, right?
Yeah. And along those same lines, I mean, we've it's taken us a while to do this. In the past few years, we've figured out that we're really looking for people that are committed to this community as well as we are, and I think that's that shared value thing when it comes to bringing the right employees into the organization. And so I think that's been a huge part. So that was a big challenge for a while, finding the tech people we wanted out here. They were coming from Chicago. That wasn't working. There's a lot of challenges with just getting them sourced and in. So
yeah, awesome. Well, I could continue this conversation probably for another hour, but time does not permit. But I thank you all so much for your time, your insight, and thank you for being such great parts of our community, great contributors to our community.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you. And we'll be right back. Thank you for joining us for Inside the Chamber. We hope you found the information in today's program valuable. Please join us again for our monthly programs. In the meantime, remember, when you're looking to shop or dine, think Chamber and visit naperville.net to support the Chamber of Commerce and the business community.